I'm going to be beating 3 insane demons since I suck at Geometry Dash. The first one being Acropolis, known for its difficult timings and horrible balancing at the beginning, known for being the hardest part of the level. After the beginning, the level goes into the second hardest part of the level, which is this ship. But after this ship, the level drops off in difficulty by a lot, with the rest of the level's difficulty being nothing compared to the beginning, except for this weird awkward UFO in the middle of the level. The level ends with this infamous wave part. It can still kill you if you get nervous enough, but hopefully I don't die here. Are you sure? One of the first things I did was get a 25 to 100 run. Nice. Shortly after, I did a couple runs from 0 and got this run to 69%. Unfortunately, dying to the transition. And a day later, I came back to completing the level. Or so I thought. Are you serious? No way I died to the wave. I ended up beating the level a couple hours later, so that death didn't really matter too much. Yes, finally. I don't know why that took me so long. I ended up beating Acropolis in around 8,000 attempts. I kept dying past the beginning cube, which was so demotivating, bringing my enjoyment down by a lot. On to the next demon. Windy Landscape is a beginner insane demon, with some very easy parts and some very hard parts like the ship in front of you. The contrast can be annoying, but overall, the level is very easy, taking me around 2 days to beat compared to Acropolis, which took me around a week. This level is very easy, so there's nothing really to describe other than that 30% ship part, which you already saw. One of the first things I did was get a 27 to 100 run. This run has the 30% ship I mentioned earlier, and has a lot of the level's difficulty, with the first 30% of the level being pretty easy compared to the rest of it. That was a good run. I'm gonna do some attempts from 0 now. This run helped me get consistent past the 30% ship checkpoint, so I wouldn't die there from 0. When I did this a couple times from 0, I did not expect to get 97%, but I did. Luckily, I was able to beat the level shortly after. Nice. That actually took me way less time than I expected. I thought this would take me longer, but I understand why people call this the easiest insane demon. Windy Landscape was a very fun level. It took me about 3,000 attempts and 2 to 3 days to beat. The gameplay is fun and flowy, and I recommend this to anyone who's trying to get better at the game, especially for a first insane demon. Poltergeist is an extremely wave-carried level, with the first 10% of the wave being the hardest part. The rest of the level being extremely underwhelming in difficulty compared to the first part of the wave. Everything else in the level is pretty much free and is equivalent to an easy demon, while the first wave is equivalent to an extreme demon. I knew I had to get consistent at the first wave before ever trying to beat the level, so I got a 19% to 100 run before doing any serious attempts from 0. Nice. That's a pretty good run. That's literally all the levels difficulty. I just need to do that from 0. So I went from 0 and got this run. That's the first time I got past the hard part in the wave. After that, the rest of the level's free. I got 31, dying right after the hardest part of the wave, which is 26 to 28. Luckily for me, I ended up getting this run, which pushed past that new best by a little bit. No, that's such an easy part and I died to it. Unfortunately, I died to 44%, which is literally after all the level's difficulty in my opinion. The rest of the level has some easy wave, ship, and then a little cube section, so it was very annoying to die past that. After those 2 deaths, I ended up getting another 2 deaths past the wave part, dying to 56% and 64%, both off camera. Although those deaths are annoying, my motivation prevailed and I ended up beating the level shortly after both of those deaths. Finally, I got past that. Please. Oh my god. This level is so bad. Honestly, this is one of the worst experiences I've ever had. I think that took me like 6k attempts. Okay, yeah, basically. As I said before, Poltergeist took me about 6,000 attempts. It also took me about 4 to 5 days to beat, not being too bad for such an unbalanced level. This level is not enjoyable just because of how bad the gameplay is. Combined with how unbalanced it is, it just makes for the worst combo ever. This video is heavily inspired by Banana Mode and his video on beating 5 insane demons. I know the video got better as it went because the rest of the levels were kind of me just getting like one run to 100 and then me beating it. So hopefully the Poltergeist segment was better than everything else and you can give me feedback if it wasn't good. Thank you for watching.